Have you ever stopped to think that everything around you is vibrating? From the atoms in your body to the thoughts running through your mind, everything is energy. Everything has a frequency. If you're watching this video, you might be part of the 1% who are truly ready to explore the invisible forces that are controlling everything around you. This isn't some mystical story or vague theory. In reality, everything that exists is in motion. Nothing is still. But what does that really mean? In this video, we'll clarify how this vibration influences your life, your reality, and your manifestations. So, before we continue with the video and explore this interesting topic further, don't forget to like, subscribe to the Top Hidden Knowledge channel to stay updated on everything related to personal and spiritual growth. This helps us bring more content that can make a difference for you. Let's get straight to the point. The Kabbalah, one of the oldest and most revered texts on universal laws, introduces a principle that, if you truly understand it, has the power to completely shift your worldview: vibration. According to this ancient teaching, nothing rests. Everything moves, everything vibrates. This idea, while ancient, holds profound scientific truth. Take a moment to think about it. Everything you see, everything you teach, everything you feel, and even the thoughts running through your mind are all in constant motion. Now ask yourself, does it seem like these things are solid, unchanging? The truth is, they aren't. What we call matter is simply energy in motion, moving at a specific frequency. Yes, even the chair you're sitting on, the air you breathe, and your own body are made up of vibrating energy. This is not mystical or abstract, it's scientific. So when you look at your surroundings, you're not seeing solid, permanent objects, but rather rapidly moving particles of energy. Here's the kicker. What separates something like a rock from a fleeting thought? Frequency, the very difference between a moment of joy and a moment of despair. Frequency, the gap between your current life and the life of your dreams. You guessed, it's a frequency. It's all about the vibration you're tuning into. But here's where things get tricky. Frequency has nothing to do with feeling good all the time. This is the major misunderstanding that leads so many people astray on their spiritual and manifestation journeys. People often believe that if they're happy, they'll manifest the life they desire. Or they think that if they feel sad or negative, they'll only attract more of that into their reality. But the truth is, you don't manifest your reality based on whether you're happy or sad in a given moment. You manifest your reality because your consciousness is tuned to a specific frequency. It's the consistent vibration of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that truly shape the world around you. Think of frequency as a repetitive energy signature. It's not something that fluctuates with every bad day or moment of frustration. The frequency you emit doesn't change based on an isolated instance, like an annoying interaction or a single setback. It's a continuous pattern that is shaped by the way you think, feel, and believe over time. Your frequency is essentially the sum total of your mental, emotional, and spiritual state. Here's a simple analogy to clarify. Imagine tuning into a radio station. If the station frequency is set to 98.7 FM, it doesn't matter how much you love a song that's playing on 102.5 FM. You'll never hear it unless you change the tuning. Similarly, your state of consciousness is like that radio dial. If your mindset is tuned to abundance, love, and positivity, that's the frequency you'll consistently attract. If you're tuned to scarcity, fear, or limitation, that's what you'll bring into your reality. Let's break this down further. Every thought, emotion, and belief you have is creating a ripple effect in the universe. And because energy never truly disappears, the vibrations you emit continue to interact with the energy around you. If you constantly focus on negative thoughts, whether it's fear, worry, or doubt, your frequency aligns with that, and it can be difficult for positive changes to enter your life. But the moment you shift your focus, your frequency shifts with it, and that can open up entirely new possibilities for you. In other words, your reality is not just a reflection of the moment you're in, but of the vibration you carry with you. The more you align your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs with the frequency of what you desire, whether that's love, success, or abundance, the more you'll begin to manifest that reality. But remember, this isn't about chasing happiness all the time or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about consistently aligning with the frequency that matches the life you want to create. Now replace that radio station with your state of consciousness. What are you tuning into? Abundance or scarcity? Confidence or fear? Expansion or limitation? The frequency you consistently maintain is what determines what you attract and experience, not what you feel in a fleeting moment. But here's one more thing. This will blow your mind. Matter responds to consciousness. Reality shifts depending on your perception. This means that your frequency, what you repeat in your mind every day, what you believe to be true about yourself and the world, literally shapes how reality responds to you. So now I ask you, what are you projecting? What are you affirming as truth every day without even realizing it? Because if your consciousness is trapped in a pattern of scarcity, you can meditate all you want, repeat affirmations all day long, take herbal BS, light candles, and walk barefoot on the grass. Nothing will change. The only thing that changes your real reality is changing your frequency. And to do that, you need to understand how your consciousness is creating everything around you. But here's something no one wants to admit. Frequency is never static. You can't freeze it in a perfect state and expect it to stay there forever. Everything in the universe moves, oscillates, expands, and contracts. The very flow of existence is based on cycles, and the more you try to resist it, the more you suffer. This is the law of rhythm, a fundamental principle of the universe that is happening right now, both inside and outside of you. Your breath follows this cycle. Inhale, exhale. Your heart pulses in waves, beats, relaxes. Time itself moves in phases, day, night, season after season. Nothing stays the same. Neither nature nor your thoughts nor your emotions. But here's the problem. People believe they should always be at their peak, always happy, always confident, always vibrating high. But that's impossible. Because in order for highs to exist, there must be lows. This is the law of polarity. Without one extreme, the other cannot exist. If there were no cold, you wouldn't even know what heat is. If there were never silence, sound would lose its meaning. Now take a look at your life. How many times have you tried to avoid a tough moment, running from discomfort, resisting sadness, ignoring frustration? But the more you try to escape, the more trapped you become. That's why so many people end up in a never-ending cycle of suffering, because they don't understand that suffering doesn't come from the emotion itself, but from resisting it. This is something ancient wisdom already knew. Buddha taught that the root of human suffering is attachment, the desperate attempt to keep things as they are, to cling to what feels good and reject what feels painful. But the truth is, everything that arises will eventually fade away. This is written in the Dhammapada, one of the oldest Buddhist texts. Everything is impermanent. When you see this clearly, you free yourself from suffering. This means that pain, fear, and doubt, all of it is temporary. But if you fight against these states, trying to avoid or suppress them, you actually trap them even deeper in your energy field. What was supposed to flow becomes stagnant. What should have been just a simple wave turns into a storm. Imagine a river. The water always moves, always finds a way. But if you build a dam and try to stop the flow, it builds up, becomes agitated, and turns turbulent. Emotions work the same way. If you allow them to pass without attachment and without resistance, they follow their natural course. But if you hold on to them or try to block them, they only grow stronger. Now think about it. How many times have you been stuck in a feeling simply because you didn't accept that it was part of your natural cycle? How many times have you tried to ignore pain only to see it grow even more? In the end, this happens because you don't realize that feeling bad sometimes doesn't mean something is wrong. It simply means you're alive. If even spiritual masters went through periods of crisis, what makes you think you should be above it? Jesus had his moment of anguish in Gethsemane. Buddha spent years in extreme deprivation before finding enlightenment. Even the most enlightened beings to ever walk the earth had to deal with the oscillation between light and shadow. The true meaning of being in high frequency? This is where many people get lost. They don't realize that the relentless pursuit of high frequency might just be another trick of the ego. The ego is clever. It knows it can't trap you with the obvious chains of fear and scarcity, so it disguises itself as light. It dresses up as spirituality and convinces you that you always need to be vibrating high, always at peace, always positive. But here's the danger. This desire to stay in high frequency isn't a sign of enlightenment. It's a reflection of the ego's attachment. The ego wants control. It wants an identity to cling to. And when you embark on your spiritual journey, it finds a new role to take on. The enlightened being, the master of positivity, the untouchable. But this is just another game. And when you fall into this trap, you start rejecting everything that doesn't fit into that ideal. You feel anger and blame yourself. You feel sadness and think you failed spiritually. You feel fear and force yourself to hide it. This is toxic positivity. The idea that anything that isn't light must be ignored. But what happens when you suppress a part of yourself? It grows, it comes back. It manifests in even more intense ways. True spiritual masters never avoided their shadows. They faced them. Jesus spent 40 days in the desert, confronting his temptations. Buddha faced Mara, the demon of illusion, before achieving enlightenment. St. John of the Cross wrote about the dark night of the soul, a period of total inner darkness before awakening. None of them reached a higher state by running from pain. They went through it. Now I want to share a story with you, an old fable about a monk and a tiger. There was a monk who lived in isolation in the mountains, seeking enlightenment. He practiced every day, meditated endlessly, and avoided any emotion that could throw him off balance. He saw himself as someone above the distractions of the world. One day, while walking through the forest, he encountered a hungry tiger. The animal stared at him, and instead of running or reacting, the monk simply closed his eyes and told himself, "I am pure. I am enlightened. No harm can touch me." The tiger lunged and devoured the monk. Moral of the story: no matter how much you try to convince yourself that you're above reality, it will always catch up with you. Spirituality isn't about hiding behind mantras or affirmations. It's about seeing what's truly there, and that brings us to the true meaning of being in high frequency. High frequency isn't about being happy all the time. It's not about avoiding sadness or pretending fear doesn't exist. High frequency is about awareness. It's about seeing. True spiritual elevation happens when you can observe reality without getting lost in it. When you understand that life's ups and downs are inevitable, but you don't have to be carried away by them. What separates an awakened person from someone trapped in illusion isn't what they feel, but how they perceive what they feel. Jesus understood this. He didn't deny the suffering of the world. He didn't run from pain, but he knew that material reality was just a reflection of consciousness. That's why he said, "The kingdom of God is within you." Buddha came to the same conclusion. He realized that the root of suffering was the illusion of permanence, the belief that we can hold on to something and make it last forever. That's why he taught the middle way, not resisting pain, but also not clinging to pleasure. High frequency isn't an emotional state. It's a level of perception. There are 5 layers of frequency and how to change them. Here's the core of it all. Suffering doesn't come from what happens to you. It comes from your resistance to what happens. The mind wants control. It wants to define, categorize, hold on to things, and keep everything within a predictable framework. But reality doesn't care about your plans. It simply is. What causes pain isn't the event itself, but your internal struggle to change or avoid it. If you feel sad and try not to feel sad, the sadness grows. If you feel fear and desperately try to get rid of it, the fear gets stronger. The simple act of resisting makes it even more powerful. This is something that Taoism and Zen Buddhism have been teaching for centuries. The concept of radical acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It means stopping the fight against life itself. Acceptance isn't the same as liking something. Acceptance means recognizing what is without trying to twist reality to fit what you think it should be. It's like a river. Imagine a man falling into the current and struggling to swim against the force of the water. He wastes energy, gets exhausted, and almost drowns. But if he simply relaxes and surrenders to the flow, the river itself will carry him to the shore. Now think, how many times have you done the same in your life? How many times have you tried to force reality to be different from what it is? How many times have you believed that you'll only be happy when... And here's one of the biggest paradoxes of manifestation. The more you fight to change your external reality, the more stuck you become in it. Because fighting to change something means that deep down, you believe you don't have it. And the universe responds to what you are, not what you want. If you desire abundance but internally feel lack, what manifests is lack. If you desire love but internally feel lonely, loneliness will keep showing up. Real change happens when you stop resisting, when you accept where you are now and begin to shift your frequency from the inside out. To change your frequency, you need to understand what it's made of. There are 5 fundamental layers that shape your vibration, and each in one is a direct reflection of what you manifest in your life. 1. Beliefs, the foundation of everything. Your beliefs are the invisible filters through which you see reality. If you believe the world is dangerous, you'll see danger everywhere. If you believe it's hard to prosper, your life will reflect that struggle. Emotionally charged thoughts. It's not just random thoughts that shape your vibration, but the ones that carry emotion. The thought, "I'm a failure," might pass through your mind without much impact. But if you feel it intensely, your body registers that frequency, and it solidifies in your reality. Focus. What you feed with your attention grows. If you spend your day focused on problems, those problems gain even more energy. If you direct your focus towards solutions and possibilities, your reality reorganizes to reflect that. Identity. How do you see yourself? This is one of the most powerful layers of frequency. You act according to who you believe you are. If you identify as someone who always struggles, you'll unconsciously recreate struggle. If you see yourself as someone who overcomes challenges, your reality will reflect that conviction, the deepest layer. The absolute certainty you have about something, even without external proof. When you know something with conviction, the universe responds. There's no doubt, no oscillation. And when conviction aligns with your intention, manifestation becomes inevitable. Now reflect on each of these layers. Observe which ones align with what you desire and which ones are sabotaging you without you even realizing it. But there's something even deeper to understand. True spiritual mastery isn't found in extremes. It's not about always being positive, nor about drowning in negativity. It's not about the frantic pursuit of enlightenment, nor the denial of darkness. True mastery lies in neutrality. Neutrality doesn't mean indifference, it means balance. It means living at the center of the pendulum, because everything in existence oscillates between opposite poles, light and shadow, expansion and contraction, life and death. Most people make the mistake of clinging to one side and resisting the other. But whenever you do this, you become a prisoner of the very movement itself. Imagine a pendulum swinging back and forth. If you cling to happiness, sooner or later, sadness will come. If you chase only pleasure, pain will inevitably follow. This is the game of duality. But there is a way out, and that way is to learn how to stay in the center. Buddha called this the middle way. He realized that suffering came from extremes, the attachment to pleasure and the aversion to pain. Freedom comes when you no longer allow yourself to be dragged to either side. You feel emotions, but you don't cling to them. You observe life, but you are not enslaved by it. Now you might be asking yourself, how do you do that? The answer is simple, but it takes practice, the observation of thought. The mind wants to drag you into a whirlwind of emotions. When something happens, it reacts automatically, throwing you into a state of euphoria or despair. But if you learn to observe, instead of identifying with every thought, something magical happens. The thought arises, but you see it as a cloud in the sky. The emotion comes, but you don't drown in it. You notice everything that happens, without losing yourself in it. Here's a simple exercise to practice this. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Observe the thoughts that arise, but don't follow them. Imagine they are leaves floating down a river. You simply watch them pass by. If an emotion arises, don't reject it. Just feel it without resistance, without judgment. Let it exist without trying to control it. Return to the present moment. Don't try to analyze or give meaning to what you felt. Just be here now. Over time, you'll begin to realize something powerful. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the consciousness that observes it all. And when you understand this, something changes deeply, because you realize you no longer need to chase a perfect state. You no longer need to cling to high frequency or run from life's ups and downs. You simply are. And when you simply are, nothing can shake you. But that doesn't mean you'll never face challenges, because you will. The mistake many people make in spirituality is thinking that once they reach a certain level of consciousness, they'll never experience loss again. They'll never feel pain again. They'll never face difficulties. But that's not reality. What really happens is that you learn to handle loss differently, because now you understand that being in high frequency doesn't mean avoiding challenges. It means facing them with elevated awareness. Loss will come. That's inevitable, but how you face it changes everything. And here's the big secret that most people never understand. The greatest spiritual transformations happen through pain and learning. Look at any great spiritual master. They all went through periods of darkness before enlightenment. They all faced challenges that forced them to evolve. What do you think about the knowledge shared above? Have you applied any of the methods discussed to face life and move toward your true self? Thank you for watching. If you learned something from this video, please like, subscribe to the Top Hidden Knowledge channel for more content on wisdom, spirituality, and personal growth. Or if you have time, check out other videos on this channel. Until next time.